Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Daniel Talks. Today I'm going to be talking about Transformers The Last Night. Stay tuned. Alright, welcome back guys. So I'm not going to be talking about plot today just because if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you've seen the movie already. And not to mention, if you've seen any Transformers movie for the last I don't know, if you've seen any of them, then you've seen this movie. This is more of the same. Have an artifact. Humans find the artifact. Bad Transformers need to find the artifact. And then the good Transformers need to save it because whatever. So the only reason why I'm doing a video today is because I really want to talk about a few little things. More on the technical side of the movie. One, this movie was the first Hollywood budgeted movie, I should say, that was shot 98% of the movie in IMAX 3D. But not only that, it was shot using the new 65mm digital IMAX camera. And it's fucking awesome. I'm here to say that I hope this camera gets utilized more and more for whole entire productions, not just action scenes. Usually IMAX cameras right now are relegated to action scenes just because of the fact that they're expensive. When you shoot on IMAX film, it's so loud that they have to re-record all of the dialogue, everything actually. So everything needs to be replicated. So for example, Dunkirk in a few weeks, Christopher Nolan's movie, they had to redo all the sound, I'm pretty sure. But this camera, the 65mm IMAX camera, doesn't need that. It's digital. Ooh. But anyway, let's not make this an IMAX discussion. The visuals in this movie are outstanding, like always. Michael Bay always puts all his money into the shots, good or bad, because he doesn't care about continuity. He doesn't care about, whether or not there's intention behind the motivated shot of a camera dolly in or something like that. Michael Bay doesn't give a fuck about that. Michael Bay is going to say, you know what? It'd be really cool if Mark Wahlberg ran down the street and we had a drone over his head, and then we did this 360 flip camera move, and then whatever, and then during the whole time there's Transformers fighting all around, because he believes that in his mind that's creativity. And you know what? I got to respect him for that, because he's the last of a dying breed. He really is. People don't make movies like him anymore. Not because they can't or Michael Bay is some god and, whatever. It's just that studios do not give individuals that trust anymore. They really don't. I mean, Michael Bay is in a position where a film executive produced by Steven Spielberg might suggest something to Michael Bay, and Michael Bay might listen or he might not. I'm sure Michael Bay would listen more times than not, because contrary to popular belief, he actually respects the people he works with. He has a terrible way at showing it, but I really do think he respects the craft and what goes into it. But he doesn't have to listen. He doesn't have to listen to those people, because he's earned that. There's very few directors out there who have that clout, and on a blockbuster scale. So he really gets to do whatever he wants whenever he wants. And I have to compliment him for it, because of certain scenes where there's practical explosions. I mean, you hardly ever see that anymore in any movie period of budget range or whatever. You hardly ever see practical effects. I'm not saying that the entire movie was practical. It obviously wasn't. There's fucking Transformers in it, and they're shooting guns and shit, and obviously you can't blow everything up in the world, but Michael Bay is notorious for really blowing shit up, for really having actual car chases, which I fucking loved. Thank you, Michael Bay, for that, because man, I watched the new Fast and the Furious movie this year, and I hadn't seen one since the second one. Jesus Christ. They don't even do fucking action driving scenes anymore. I remember the first one, it was a little cheesy, there's that CGI, there's some cheesy CGI shit, I forgot what it was. But I mean, that was 2001. I mean, you hardly ever have live action car scenes. I mean, so thank you. The sound design, amazing, top notch. The effects, I could feel the engine, the pulse of the rifles of the Transformers shooting each other, every single hit and punch and everything like that. Very, 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 very technically on point. The CGI was great, at least on that scale. On that scale, with that many moving pieces. I mean, again, using that IMAX sensor size, where you're getting more and more of the images. I mean, there's those large scale battles towards the end where Optimus is fighting those Guardians or whatever the fuck, and you know the camera's out wide, but you get to see so much detail, and it's interesting. I mean, there's moments where Mark Wahlberg's like interacting with like those little Dinobots and whatever, but it's so seamless. I mean, we've really reached the point where we just can't tell anymore. I mean, you can just tell the difference if you look at the original Transformers, and that was like 2007. I mean, the distance we've come in 10 years, it's amazing. And that's not something that's, you know, Michael Bay's not doing all this design. That's a credit to the visual effects teams. I think Weta worked on this, but the point of the fact of the matter is Michael Bay's championing this stuff. And when he goes away, it's, you know, it's tough to push new technology. People like James Cameron, people like George Lucas are important because they champion that new technology and they have enough clout in the industry where they can push it forward. So I really, really hope that the biggest takeaway of this whole entire movie is that people utilize that camera more. I'm not talking about independent movies like, you know, whatever, insert any movie that was made for less than 10 million, you know, Moonlight. It doesn't need to be, it can be. It doesn't need to be on there though. But I mean, if you're doing, you know, any Star Wars movie, any whatever, you need to be using that. I mean, that's the way to go. So what else did I like about the movie? I liked Anthony Hopkins. He was like typecast as like his traditional, like, oh, I have to be this like, you know, epic figure of knowing all about history and stuff. You know, the typical Anthony Hopkins role where he's the ultra historian, where he's this, and that. But then it reverses the role in the midpoint of the movie when you finally meet the character. And he's this crazy fucking guy who like believes in all these billions of different things. Like he's just fun. And I like that because I saw Anthony Hopkins. I felt like he was having fun on that set. I don't think he gave a fuck about, it was a payday for him, but I feel like it was one of the first times in a while where he could just be himself. You know, there's a scene where he's like flipping one of the transformers. I mean, it's so unlike what we're used to that it works. Obviously, it's, you know, not the best story in the world or whatever, and not the greatest character development. I mean, there's some pretty weird jokes in there. It's a stereotypical thing, and that's the Michael Bay humor, that stereotypical humor. Whether you hate him or love it, it's there. He's aware of it. I got to give Michael Bay credit for at least being in tune for what's going on in the world, at least pop culturally. Whether or not you respect his uses of it, that's up for debate. I mean, obviously, no one's talking about this movie now because it's the fifth one, and we've all realized that Michael Bay doesn't give a shit. But there was controversy for the second one when he had those like black quote unquote Transformers, but I'm only saying that because no one was talking about that in Wonder Woman. Just saying, you know, for all the praise that it received, no one really talked about how racist it is by portraying those stereotypes. I mean, I'll give credit for Patty Jenkins for casting a Native American, but they didn't really have him do much else but say some Native American ass shit. And then the drunkard, and then the dude from Morocco who's like the perv and had like his super sexual or whatever, like they were all fucking stereotypes. All stereotypes. No one talks about that. But you know, if this movie was actually relevant, I'm talking about The Last Night, people will be talking about it because there's some definitely some stereotypical shit. But like I said, it's Michael Bay. No one gives a fuck at this point. But it just goes to show that when it's a good movie, people seem to be more inclined to be forgetful and forgiving, I should say. And when it's a bad movie, not so much. For those who are wondering what happened to Sam Witwicky, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. I don't even know if I should say any more than that, but so in the movie, Anthony Hopkins is revealed to be a Witwicky or a Witwickham or some shit like that. Like that's the clan that like Sam's from. Like all of these famous people are all from this, right? And so he says to Mark Wahlberg's character, "I'm the last living member of this clan, of this family." And I'm like, well, wait. If that's his last name, and is he related to? Because we at this point you don't know. I'm like, oh shit. Well, Sam's fucking dead, unless I misheard the name. And then later on, you see that when Anthony Hopkins is explaining like all the people who are in this clan or whatever, basically all descendants of Merlin. Yeah, Sam's in there because there's a picture of him, and so he's dead. That sucks. And actually, I wish they didn't have that because, you know what, to be honest with you, I missed Shia LaBeouf in this movie. Mark Wahlberg did a good job as a replacement in the fourth one just because of the world building that was going to, along with that film. I kind of bought the story, that relationship between his dad and his daughter, all that stuff. Like, I bought it. There's at least still that like teenage young adult aspect of the Transformer films. That was gone in this one. Just 100% gone. I mean, there's little moments with like children, but I mean, it's not the same thing. And it made me miss Shia because there's just that innocence. Like, it was another way to approach the humor that Michael Bay likes to do. Let's be honest. Shia LaBeouf is definitely an awkward character, quirky, and things like that. And so in the Transformers universe, he's actually allowed to like embrace that, embellish that, and Michael Bay can write to that, or not him, but like the writers can write to that sensibility, because you put Shia in any situation, and basically he's always going to be at a disadvantage. Like, you have to have him have that Transformer, and that's kind of where the drama and stuff comes in. That's where the stakes come into play. There's not really any much of that in this one, and that, you know, I don't know if that's because, you know, maybe Mark Wahlberg wanted a higher rate on this movie and they kind of wrote him out of the Transformers series because they don't really need him anymore based on how this one played out. He's not dead or anything, but just like I said, just based on it played out, he's not really important. Not as important as it was looking to come out to be. Who knows? I don't know. There's no reports of this, but it just makes me wonder. Like, they definitely wrote him a beefy role in Transformers 4. And you would expect you'd want a big hitter like Mark Wahlberg to stay on the franchise, so you'd want to give him an equally beefy role in the sequel, but that didn't happen. So it makes me wonder if there was something else behind the closed doors, because I doubt he's going to be in part 6. Let's see, what else did I enjoy? I mean, I don't, you know, this is something I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that Bumblebee was given this like backstory where he was a World War II veteran and he helped fight the Nazis. I mean, there's this intense fascination by the Transformers crew to like infuse Transformers with history. I mean, they did a very cool like little twist with Stonehenge and Pangea. Like, I thought that was pretty fucking awesome. That like those were the horns of like the way they do it, like I don't know, but it was fucking cool. I like that. But they do the Nazi thing with Bumblebee, and it's like, it keeps diminishing the relationship between Bumblebee and Shia LaBeouf that was established in the first one, and that's kind of bothersome to me because I felt like they were so like intertwined with one another that actually bothered me in the fourth one, that Bumblebee acted so nonchalant that like Shia wasn't there. I mean, you would think that those two would be fucking, you know, inseparable. He'd say something, he'd cry, but no. I'm gonna give this movie maybe a 5. Let's go 5. 5. You know, it was a Transformers movie. You get what you pay for. I got what I paid for. I left satisfied. I can't wait to see Michael Bay's next movie, just because I want to see him blow other shit up. I mean, there's more interesting shit to blow up than Transformers. And I feel like he's shot his load a bunch of times. He's made enough movies where now he doesn't need to do that, and it's time for him to do his own shit. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Daniel Talks. Hopefully you enjoyed my thoughts and opinions. If not, let me know in the comments. Or if you agreed with me, let me know in the comments. Just let me know anything in the comments. I mean, like, ask me how my day was. I'd love to know how your day was. dngtalk.com. Like us on Facebook, Instagram. Subscribe on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. And that'll do it.